off the cuff.
All right, well, I think we're live right now, right this second. So welcome to probably nobody watching us live, but anyways, welcome to this special crossover episode. We're really excited because myself, Ryan, from the Going the Distance podcast, and Craig from the Slycast, and Doug from Rocky Minute, we're all joining together today again for our monthly Stallone movie review. And today's vote, by almost a landslide, a pretty good margin, I think, is Assassins, the 1995 film Assassins. Guys, how do you feel about this choice that the public picked?
We still have time to talk Rhinestone. I'm prepared for Rhinestone. So if you guys want to call an audible, I'm good.
I think Ryan paid off people to vote for Assassins.
Negative. I made sure that during the polls, I never said this was mine. I don't think I did. I was pretty careful not to contaminate the polls.
Ryan, I just want to go on record early and say that I hate you.
Okay.
Because until yesterday, when I rewatched this movie, I really, really liked Assassins, which I hadn't watched in about 15 years. So
that's awesome. Okay, so why don't we first talk about the first time you saw the film? So, Craig, you already alluded to that. When's the first time you saw this film that you can remember?
I don't recall seeing this in theaters for whatever reason. I remember, I think, watching it for the first time on probably VHS. Probably when it came out on home video. I really don't have any memory of sitting in a theater watching this one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Doug. So I was just checking a setting there. Doug, what about you? When's the first time you saw this that you can remember?
About 24 hours ago.
Oh!
I never saw Assassins.
Okay, well, keep your thoughts to yourself right now. That's actually cool that one of us has seen it for the first time recently for this review, because that's really going to, I think, add to the discussion. I, like you, Craig, I'm not sure if I saw this in the theaters. I probably did, because I think every theatrical Stallone movie release I have seen since 1983. So wow. I would assume, I'm not even joking, I would assume I saw this in the theaters. But I would say it's probably the last time I saw this. So it's been 23 years. What does that tell you?
That it wasn't memorable the first time.
Well, maybe I didn't want to. It was so good the first time. I just wanted to hold on to that moment forever.
You're the one that picked it.
Because I think I think I don't necessarily put this in the poll because I think it's a fantastic film. I actually don't remember. Okay, what I remember from the first time seeing it, that I remember thinking it was supposed to be a smart action movie and like an intelligent type action movie. And I remember thinking there was a couple scenes at the time in 1995 that seemed kind of unique, kind of, different than the standard action fare that was in the mid-90s, which weren't very good films in the mid-90s for action films. So I don't know. I didn't walk away from the initial viewing of loathing the film, but obviously not enough that I ever bought it on DVD. I never bought it on VHS. I never saw it on cable again. So that alone should have told me what my initial experience was.
Doug, did this feel like getting in a time machine and going back to 95? This was like the most 90s movie I can remember watching in recent memory. I mean, it screamed 1995. It was crazy to watch and be like, wow, this movie just really captured a year and a decade.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of 90s films especially age very well. This is no exception. Everything from Banderas' hair to Stallone's pleated trousers.
And just the whole Julianne Moore thing.
Julianne Moore, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's first talk about who directed this film.
Richard Donner.
Yeah, so Richard Donner of the Lethal Weapon fame and other action films. And he wasn't quite out of his prime yet as a director at this time, but he directed this film. He directed Superman, of course, the original. Let's see what else he directed. He directed Goonies, Lethal Weapon, Lost Boys, Scrooge, Lethal Weapon 2, Lethal Weapon 3, Free Willy, Maverick, which is actually quite a fun film. And that Maverick was his film that he directed with Mel Gibson and Jodie Foster the year before, and the next movie was Assassins.
He didn't direct Lost Boys.
Oh, my apologies. I was just Lost Boys. Yeah, sorry, he was producer. Producer, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Joel Schumacher directed.
Yeah, don't take that away from Joel Schumacher. He needs it.
He needs whatever he can get.
Feather in his cap.
So Richard Donner, of course, directed all the Lethal Weapons, Any Given Sunday.
No, that was Oliver Stone.
Freak.
Come on, man.
I gotta read down the column, the proper column. My bad. Let me just change the setting here. There we go. All the directors. Okay. His last movie was
Paul Walker, Time something.
Timeline in 2003, but 2006 he directed a movie called 16 Blocks.
Oh, with that was
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis and Mos Def. Yeah.
Is it Mos Def or Mos Def?
He's the most deaf. He's the most deaf. Yeah.
Was it most definitely, or he's the most hard of hearing?
You are so white.
I don't. We have one Canadian rapper, and his name is Drake.
Oh yeah, he was on what's that?
Degrassi.
Yep.
So
wasn't he in a wheelchair or something like that?
That's right. I think he was a wheelchair. I didn't know. Oh, he also directed Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson. So he did a lot of Mel Gibson films. He's like a Mel Gibson director. So Assassins was directed by Richard Donner, not a bad director, produced by Joel Silver. You saw who wrote this thing?
Yeah, it was written by the
Wachowskis.
Yeah, the Wachowskis, and a page one rewrite by Brian Helgeland, who was a pretty active guy in the 90s if you needed a script polished up. So
first, let's not gloss over the Wachowski sisters now.
Yeah, The Matrix.
Yep. Yeah, The Matrix. They were the brothers at the time of The Matrix, but they're both transgender females now.
Yeah.
That's insane. Not in a bad way. I thought it was one of them. Yeah.
Well, it was. Yeah. And then the other one, like 2 years later, was like, you know what? I'm going to get on that train too. And, God love them. They're living their life.
They are living their life. And life choices aside, their movies have not done well lately.
Rightfully so. They've made utter trash. I mean, that first Matrix is sort of lightning in a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much good things to say about the other two Matrix sequels. I never bothered seeing Speed Racer. And that movie with Tom Hanks in prosthetics makeup, I never seen either.
Cloud Atlas, Jupiter Ascending, Speed Racer. Now, they did kind of get some little bit of cred and respect back when they did that Sense8 series on
for Netflix.
Yeah,
that's got a big following.
Stop it.
So
didn't they try to back out of this after the rewrite?
Yeah, that's what I read.
Yeah, their claim was that Brian how do you say his name? Helgeland?
I think Helgeland.
Helgeland. They said that right here it says the Wachowskis stated that their script was totally rewritten by Brian and that they tried to remove their names from the film but failed to do so.
I'm sure they still took the paycheck.
Well, it's weird. So I wondered when I was watching this, did you guys try to get any kind of feeling of where the Wachowskis might have had influence in the movie itself?
All the violence.
Which I don't think is even that much. I don't think it's that serious.
Well, it's not gratuitous violence, but there's a lot of mayhem. And I'd also probably say the Julianne Moore character, Elektra, is probably very much them. They, even in The Matrix, they were writing really strong, for lack of a better word, female characters. I wouldn't really consider Elektra a strong female character in this, but she's at least well written.
Yeah, but
why would they name her Elektra? Why the name Elektra?
It's like a cyber name. That's how.
In 1995, man, the internet was like this big mysterious thing that the general public didn't really understand.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna get into some of that stuff as we talk about the film. I just wanted to make sure we get who wrote this thing. So this guy Helgeland, he wrote some big pieces. So he wrote L.A. Confidential.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
He wrote one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Part 4, the Dream Master.
He wrote that
976 Evil.
Yeah, that Parker movie that Mel Gibson did, Payback.
Yeah, it's another Mel Gibson production. He also wrote Mystic River.
Oh wow.
Blood Work.
He's legit.
That's a good one.
Man on Fire. That's a great one. The Taken to Pelham 1, 2, 3. Green Zone. The 2010 Robin Hood. Legend.
Hold on. Which one was that? Was that the one with Russell Crowe?
Yeah.
Okay. I lose track of those sometimes.
And of course, The Knight's Tale.
That was a great movie with Heath Slater. Did you guys remember that one?
Oh yes,
It had like the rock soundtrack, but it was medieval.
right. Oh, I
That's really
remember
cool.
the exploding jousting sticks. Yeah, and he also wrote Legend with Tom Hardy.
Oh, that's the MMA movie, right?
So here we go. So the people behind this film. So I want to set this up, and the reason why I think this is important because I think
Joel
Stallone,
Silver produced it, right?
Yeah, so it's a Joel Silver production, directed by. So if you saw this on a marquee, directed by Richard Donner, and this is 1995, and so well, actually, it doesn't even matter what the year. I think if we saw this marquee set up at any point right now, even if you just happen to see Richard Donner, Joel Silver production, screenplay by the Wachowskis, Brian Helgeland writing, and then starring Stallone and Banderas and Julianne Moore, you'd be like, whoa, that's an interesting, we may have something here. We just may have something here. Do we have something here?
You've got a movie that cost $50 million to make.
Yeah, it cost $50 million to make, and this was 1995. And I don't have the adjustment in front of me. We can work on that later. But box office worldwide of 83. So it made $33 million if it didn't cost any more for what do you call it, advertising, what have you.
Yeah, and that budget seems really. I was really surprised when I saw that budget number because you don't really see that on the screen, right?
No, I didn't see it anywhere on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Stallone was getting paid in 1995. I mean, he wasn't getting $20 million a picture anymore. That's for sure.
Was this the point in his career where he was like slipping? Oh, we lost Doug. This is what
Sorry
happens when we're
about
live. Oh, we lost Doug. Where did Doug go?
And then my earphone popped out, so I couldn't hear you.
So Doug's already quit. He's had enough. I was wondering why he was silent. I was like, where did Doug go? This is what happens.
I just saw his image disappear, and I was like, oh.
This is it, folks. This is what happens when we're live. You know, things can happen. So if people are actually watching live, we've got a few people watching. This is, again, just a live recording. It isn't the final product. The final product will be on our podcast, respective podcast. But I'm just going to tell Doug to come back, please. we sure could use him. Maybe his wife told him to get off the internet. So what were we saying? Yeah, 1995, 30 million. It's a pretty healthy budget. It's probably healthy, but not too crazy because there's no CGI. Very simple sets. I think they probably spent more money on travel than anything else. Yeah. And like I said, I'm not sure. I mean, Stallone definitely wasn't getting 20 million a picture anymore. Yeah, that's the question I had asked you there, Craig, when you dropped out was, where was he in his career at this point? Well, what? He was coming off of, was it Judge Dredd? I think Judge Dredd was 95 as well, and I think The Specialist was 94. Yeah. 2 years before, or 2 or 3 years before Copland, when he tried to redeem his career. Yeah, so I mean, let's see, let's pull up the internet while we're waiting for Doug. We can kill some time, right? Oh, because believe me, he needs to be part of this conversation. He did Daylight directly after this, right? And Judge Dredd directly before it. So he was coming off of that Cliffhanger, Demolition Man, Specialist, 1, 2, 3 Punch, and then Judge Dredd, which. I mean, we haven't talked about Judge Dredd yet. That is going to be the next Slycast discussion. Right. Nice. But I think Judge Dredd is a marker in his career that really sort of spelled the beginning of the end. Well, yeah, if you go in order here, he did Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, which was a complete disaster, and that's probably going to be one we're going to throw in the poll for one of these. But then 93 was Cliffhanger, which was considered a great film, of course. I would say that's probably the peak of his earning power. Yeah. You know, and then oh, sorry, go ahead. No, I was going to say, and then I think there was a pretty steep drop off. Well, Demolition Man did well. I remember that kind of being a fun, wasn't really laud. It wasn't like critical. The critics might not. It wasn't a critical darling. Yeah. Fans that also had a Taco Bell tie-in. So I mean, that was a commercial film. And The Specialist, as we've talked about, go back and listen to that episode, people, if you haven't already. Our Specialist review speaks for itself. And then I think it was The Specialist and Judge Dredd and Assassins. Those 3 in a row really kind of started to affect his star power, I would say, a little bit. Yeah. And the weird thing is I don't really remember a lot of the marketing for Assassins.
Um, but it almost feels like Assassins was more of, hey, we've got this young up and comer Antonio Banderas in our movie who had a really, really active 1995. I don't know when the guy slept.
Yeah, that's it's a crazy amount of filming. Judge Dredd, Assassins, and Daylight, all within a 2-hour period. Or sorry, 2-year period. And well, The Specialist, Judge Dredd, Assassins, and Daylight, 2 years, all 2 years, 4 movies. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, well, and look at Antonio Banderas in 1995 alone. Miami Rhapsody, Desperado, 4 Rooms, Assassins, and Never Talk to Strangers, and Too Much. I mean, that's a lot of filming. I mean, he was definitely going after it. I mean, he kind of hit with Desperado, I guess, and he took the ball and ran with it.
So even though, so Doug, we're just talking about Stallone's career at this time, that it started to kind of slip a little bit, because I remember when Copland came out in '97, it was kind of a redemption film, and we'll talk about this as we talk about other films after Copland. But the dip that he took after Copland was even worse than the mid-'90s. His 2000s were horrible. Get Carter, Driven, Avenging Angelo, Detox, Shade.
He was still considered a big action star at this point, right?
Well, yeah, we were kind of thinking, Doug, that this is the point right after his peak sort of earning power. This was the start of, the beginning of the end for the box office powerhouse that was Sylvester Stallone.
What was the next project he did after this?
Daylight.
Daylight was after this. I would
and
say
Judge Dredd was right before it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I would have to agree then. And then Copland was supposed to be his rebound, and it wasn't.
And then the rebound that he missed, the 2000s were.
Well, I got to tell you this. It's amazing that we're actually talking about Sylvester Stallone in 2018, because he survived that straight to DVD purgatory, thankfully, and because I'm not sure that we'd be talking about him right now if he didn't make it out of that early 2000s, if he wasn't able to make Rocky Balboa.
I'm just looking through his 2000 stuff, and you guys thought it was funny that I never saw this, but I saw Get Carter. All I saw up until Rocky Balboa.
So there's a lot of movies you haven't seen of his career that we'll probably cover for first time on this show.
Probably.
All right, well, let's get going. Our four viewers want to hear our thoughts on this movie, what it's about, how it goes, and let's start at the beginning. So at the very beginning, we have this Godfather-esque type in a marsh, some sort of marsh, where we should, for the record, Stallone's name for this movie, it's another great name.
Well, thankfully, it's not his given name, we learned.
Robert Rath. Any thoughts on the name?
It's a name. I'm sure that's one name that the Wachowskis don't want to take credit for.
Is this his real? I know Robert wasn't his real name. I forget the real name that they gave him at the end of the movie. Does anyone remember?
Joseph.
Okay.
Which makes me think that this was part of what?
Was it Joseph Rath?
I don't know, but no, actually, I think it was Joseph Bomowski making this part of the Stop or My Mom Will Shoot universe.
Oh, wow. That's deep, man. Oh, easy. You're going to lose Craig.
Oh, man. You just made me getting up to talk this movie worth it.
Well, here's the
My pleasure.
So his name is Robert Rath. We find out this is his assassin's name. This is his calling card.
Pseudonym?
Like, why would you name yourself Wrath? Like, he's the most calm, monotone person named Wrath I could have ever imagined. Like, did he ever get excited in this film about anything?
If you remember that when we did The Specialist, I went over his list of names for his character names from the 1990s, and this was certainly one of the more goofy ones.
Well, what's stupid about it, among a few things, is that Wrath is even spelled properly. It's R-A-T-H.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like Wrath, but it's not truly Wrath.
That's not a last name.
No. It'd be like calling him Robert Killer, but there was no E in the
Right.
killer. We don't want to quite spell it. You don't want to make it too obvious that we're saying the word wrath.
Actually, Wrath is a last name, Doug. It is. It's got origins in German and Jewish.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So I guess
So
calling me
that's one
corrected.
time you're proven wrong today.
Well, his name in
Not the last.
His name in Spy Kids 3 was Toy Maker.
Yes.
I mean, that's obvious. So, what do you guys think of this opening sequence where Robert Rath is leading out to pasture a fellow assassin?
Yeah, this was another one of those movie tropes that was really popular. Probably, I don't remember when The Professional came out, but like movie like assassins were a big deal for a while. Like the whole idea of like a professional hitman or assassin, it kind of created this sort of romanticized it. And this sort of, the fact that it's two hitmen together and the guy asks for a clean kill and stuff like that. There's no basis in reality there, right?
No, there is not. Let's just say, for example, I was going to say, okay, so who was this guy to Robert Rath? Like, were they co-workers? He said something to the effect like, you've killed people too, or you're no better than me type. Like, you got one assassin speaking to another assassin about the moral of their job, the morality of their job. So I guess this new assassin is now a mark for Robert Rath. So the marks are referred to the hits that these guys are assigned to kill for whoever hires them. So I guess Robert Rath has been given the assignment to kill another assassin, and they've known each other from their past assassin work.
Sure.
But what's this supposed to illustrate, though?
That he's a hitman?
I know.
But he's a horrible one because he makes the guy kill himself.
But is it showing that he's like a good guy hitman because, he did what the guy asked him to do?
The hitman with the heart of gold?
Yeah, I don't understand this opening.
Okay, can I just say for the record, right off the bat, why is this movie so confusing?
I think you nailed it when you said, Ryan, that this was supposed to be like the smart, intelligent, movie or whatever. And I think that's the thing. I think when you intend to, when your intention is to make something smart or intelligent, sometimes you outsmart yourself.
Right. So we're seeing, I think you're right, Craig. And I think you said it best when you said it's an assassin with a heart of gold. Because Stallone, in this part of his career, he's still kind of a good guy. Like for us as an audience to be able to wrap our brain around, our viewing brain, that Stallone is playing really an amoralistic character. This guy's hired to kill people. And I think it's assumed or insinuated that he's killed, men, women in his career. Because this guy
he's had a career that's over 15 years,
right?
At least.
And we see at the very beginning of the film, I think, where we see what we learn later in the film, that he was given the assignment to kill a friend who's also an assassin, and that sets up this. Okay, for those who haven't seen the film, only way. No. You have to. Okay, my plea is for us to be able to get through this discussion. This is a hard one to get through. I think people are going to have to have seen the film, because describing and trying to explain what's going on is insane. I don't understand. Yeah,
Ryan, you're a pro wrestling fan, right?
Yeah.
Doug, are you at all interested or a fan of pro wrestling?
I used to be,
okay.
not so much these days.
If you watch this movie and think that they were running from the pro wrestling guide to writing handbook, the movie makes a lot more sense. Because you got your typical, face stuff going on. You got your chicken shit heel. You've got the big turn that makes no sense at the end of the movie. When I started thinking of this as like just a pro wrestling movie, it worked a lot more for me, or at least made it a lot more bearable.
Very convoluted plot, though.
It's
like
what
when he gets the contract to kill Elektra, there's this MacGuffin, this disc that never has any goddamn payoff anyway.
I'm gonna do a shout out right now to Sicko, who loves our the way we jump around our movies. So, Sicko, this plot jump is for you.
Yeah. He's always corrected me. All right, so then we get to see Robert Rath in his home on a very high-tech computer.
He graduated from the tech he had in the Specialist, at least.
Yeah, so this is like a little laptop, and so here's my phone, for example. It's amazing the power that we have. It's amazing that the power that we have in our phones right now, because we're seeing in this movie 95, it's like a little laptop, and the length of time it takes for a text message to get sent and to receive. And as we see later in the film, when they send pictures via the internet, it's like duk, 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 duk. It's like a really it's really amazing. You can send pictures to somebody in 1995, and to watch it in 2018, it just does not age well. It's a very
it's Wi-Fi capabilities. He's communicating in the car with it. That's incredible.
You took that away from me. It's like, how did he do that in 1995? He's like chatting on his laptop. I didn't know we could do cell coverage like that back then with laptops.
Did you get the model number, the product, the Apple PowerBook 540C?
Oh, is that what he was using?
Yeah.
Did you get the specs on that?
Yep. The Apple Macintosh PowerBook 540C features a 33 megahertz something processor, 4 megabyte or 12 megabytes of RAM, and a 320 megabyte or 500 megabyte hard drive in a sleek portable case with a 9.5-inch color active matrix display.
Yeah, so that probably wasn't a cheap laptop in 1995, which I wanted to sort of say, at least and I hate continually going back to the Specialist, but I guess they're both guys that killed people for money. But you didn't really get any indication of why this guy was an assassin, because he wasn't living a flashy, extravagant, life. You don't really get any idea of his wealth. And aside from those flashbacks to killing his friend or his mentor, you don't really even get to know this character at all.
No, there's no background on him whatsoever.
But I mean, you don't even really get to see how he's living. You don't see a big
hitman to a good guy. If he did go from being a heartless hitman to a good guy, like what caused the transition? There's none of that.
Well, we're going to talk about that because he gets the mark later. We'll get to that because I have a big comment about why the change of heart. So let's first go. He gets his first contact or contract that we see in this film for the billionaire that he's supposed to kill for whatever apparent reason at the funeral. Mm-hmm. And so we go to the funeral. This billionaire is in a wheelchair. Whatever his reasons were for the kill, doesn't matter. He was just some sort of, I can't remember the reasons, but the person who hired Robert Rath to kill the billionaire had their reasons. And of course, Robert Rath is saying this is his last one and he's out of the game or whatever. Is that right? Did he say that then?
Yeah. That's the one he gets offered, what, 2 million or?
No, 200,000.
200,000. Yeah. All right.
So, yeah. And
he's going to retire on 200 grand.
Why is it every Stallone movie he's retiring for whatever?
It's just such a lazy, writing cliche, the hitman with the heart of gold who's just going to do one more job before he hangs it up. It's just I wish Jeff Ferry was here to dismantle the amount of weak writing that's going on here.
Oh well, yeah, that's so. We also find out during this funeral that Antonio Banderas, Miguel, his character, he's been hired also to kill this billionaire, and actually he does the killing. So unbeknownst to Robert Rath, this guy gets silent sniped from a distance by Miguel, Antonio Banderas' character, and Stallone, Robert Rath's character, turns around and he's holding a gun in a big arm cast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is an awesome scene. I got to say that. You've got a lot going. This scene has a lot going for it. You've got the mocked up cast with the hole for the gun, and you get Antonio Banderas, who I think if Donner had let him pump the gas a little bit more, we would have gotten a really, really great James Woods level performance. He would have James Woods this movie, but it feels like Banderas was just pulled in just a little too much.
He was a way over the top. It was like goofy. I hated his character. I really did.
I
It's
agree.
like one of the only highlights for me was Banderas.
No, he
Terrible.
irritated me. He irritated me. And the first thing I wrote about him was Antonio's
hair.
laugh. No, his laugh and his sound effects.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Wow, you really look like him doing that.
This is stuff you get when you watch this on camera. Ryan's impersonations continue.
Now, Doug. You have some experience here, possibly, or at least some knowledge that you know.
Mhm.
The police response here is incredibly quick. Was there some kind of police escort maybe for this billionaire, or it seemed like the cops arrived like immediately?
Yeah, they had to be. This guy, was he a mobster or something like that? If there's a high profile funeral, cops usually are close by.
Fair enough.
So
Okay.
so the police response, not as surprising to me. I mean, the fact that they got Banderas was surprising to me.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, if you have that expectation of a police presence, why be as brazen as Banderas was, or are they showing his inexperience as an assassin, as opposed to Robert Rath's, sly, pun intended, attempt at, concealing his gun?
I thought Miguel had a good setup. He was posing as like a gravedigger. He just, wheels his way through, blows the guy away, and then carries on. I thought his setup was better than Stallone's in that goddamn cast.
Why the cast? It would have been less obvious just to have a gun in his hand.
Well, because you don't see the hand either, right? Most times when somebody's arms in a cast, you see their fingers sticking out.
Right, not just like a stump
Or a cannon.
with the piece of tape on the edge of it to cover up the hole.
He was so proud of that little detail.
I loved even more is when the fireworks started, he tried to tape the hole back up, but then the tape kept flapping off when he was running.
I wonder if it was a part of Stallone when he put that cast on, where did he go, I'm not too sure about this, or did they go, no, this is good, we're good to go, this is incognito, this get up right here.
I almost feel like that's a move he had used before.
Also, now I know this might be nitpicking, okay, but he's got a handgun in there, and the way the cast is, it's down. Now, in order, especially at a distance, to get an accurate shot, you have to get a sight picture. You're not shooting like you with his arm in a cast. He's shooting from the hip, basically.
That's how good he is. He's a trained assassin.
No, I don't care. There's no way.
Doug, he's a trained. Don't you question Robert Rath and his ability? He's a hitman. He's an assassin for 15 years. This is what he's been doing nonstop. He knows how to shoot from the hip. Come on. How dare you? By the way, Craig, Stallone was paid $15 million for this film. So on a $30 million budget, half of it went to Stallone's paycheck.
Hey, good for him.
Yeah.
Hey, get it while you can, right?
One other thing is, every single gun in this movie has a silencer.
Except for the one cop shot at the beginning of the funeral scene.
Yeah, that's
like another 90s thing, though,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
The silencer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And silencers are a myth anyway. They don't suppress the sound of the shot
That much?
I mean, they suppress it. They suppress the report, which is the explosion, but they don't. The slide kicking back, the slide recoiling makes a loud sound. The bullet expelling out of the muzzle is still going to make a sound. It's just not going to be that loud pop. Bullshit.
Yeah, I would assume the silence method in movies is probably exaggerated.
Mm-hmm. Especially, I can't recall how suppressed it is, but in a lot of other movies when they do the silencer, it sounds like this, and that's it.
Yeah, this is like.
Yeah.
That sounds like Hannibal Lecter.
Thank you. Impersonations never end with Ryan.
Or it sounds like Miguel Bain.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I think now that we've introduced Miguel, how is he so acutely aware of Robert Rath's history, down to even the details surrounding Rath taking out his friend? Like, it just seems to me like that's not history that gets recorded, or at least the official version doesn't get recorded.
This is what I'm getting at. This whole Assassin's Club, it doesn't make sense. We have the beginning of the film, he's killing a fellow assassin. We've got assassins for hire. They're in the same, getting hired by the same guy, spoiler alert, who happens to be the guy that Robert Rath was supposed to kill at the beginning of the film. He's hiring all the assassins to make everyone fight everybody. It's just like this Assassin's Club, but then you have, like you said, the School of Assassins. There should be a prequel. Like, Miguel was studying Robert Rath. Like, where does he look him up? As we can see, there's no internet back there. It's horrible. Like, where's he getting this research? Goes to the library, A for assassins, you know. What has Robert Rath done in the 1980s? Like,
if you're an assassin and your identity is known, then you're not doing a good job.
Exactly. And he's his favorite. Miguel worships Robert Rath. This is his hero. It's a personal hero of his.
He's like the Ric Flair of the movie, because Miguel even says, to be, basically he says to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Yeah. Anyways, so where did you study assassins in 1995? I don't know. But he did. He studied and he looked up to Robert Rath and wanted to be him. But did he, when he saw each other at the funeral, when they both saw each other at the funeral, did Miguel know that was Robert Rath? Okay.
Well, no, I don't know.
He didn't recognize him until he was in the taxi, because he was talking to him.
That's right. So I guess you could study. I guess so. So now we know there is a little bit of subterfuge when it comes to studying assassins. You may be able to study their work and their methods and their deeds, but you don't know what they look like. They're still secret identities.
All right, that makes sense.
No, Craig, you seem a little nonplussed there, Craig.
I'm just trying not. It's still early here on the West Coast, so my brain is trying to process some absurdity, and it's I just finished my coffee, so it might kick in.
Let's talk about
strap in, because there's plenty more absurdity to come.
Oh, there's a big absurd part coming up here. So Miguel gets arrested by the cops. The cops come in, subdue the shoot. They actually subdue the shooter. Congratulations, cops, without shooting him. That's pretty good. He's got a gun in his hand.
Yeah.
And they subdue him. They arrest him.
Oh, I forgot this bullshit.
Yeah, well, here we go. So they're in the cop car, and we have the classic.
It doesn't make any sense.
He dislocated his thumb in the back seat.
But, like, where does this go? How does that allow you to... At what point are you able to slip handcuffs off?
Doug, you're a police officer. How many prisoners have you arrested?
The thumb has to go somewhere.
Doug, you're a police officer. How many people have you arrested that have escaped your vehicle due to dislocating their thumbs in handcuffs?
Well, there's a couple of problems here. One, well, to answer your question, 0. I've had females specifically slip out of handcuffs because if you don't put them on tight enough, they're able to squirrel their hand out. But dislocating your thumb like that, I don't think would work.
Because your thumb still has to go somewhere, right? I mean, even if it's dislocated, where does it go? Like, I mean,
but there's still like even if you dislocate your thumb, the meat of your hand is still wider than your wrist. So if the cops put the cuffs on as they should, tight enough, there's no way to work your hand out of there.
So
secondly,
oh, sorry, my bad. There's more than one wrong thing. No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, but if you want to expand on the handcuffs, because I'm done with that. So
no, I'm done with handcuffs too. So he dislocates his thumb and he snaps the cop's neck that's driving. Okay,
that's another bullshit 1990s thing. Where you just do instantly neck snap.
He grabs the guy's side of his face. He just turns his head.
This is after he kicks the window out, right?
Right.
Which, hold on, let me talk about kicking the window out.
Please.
Car windows don't break like that.
You think?
I know. Because I've had prisoners in the back of my patrol car kicking the window, and the most they're going to do is push the window off its track. It's not going to shatter like that. And it takes a good 10 kicks to, strong kicks to do that. It doesn't happen right away. So he like one kick blows the window out like it's a piece of paper.
He's an
Then
assassin.
he reaches he reaches out of the car window into the driver's seat and breaks the cop's neck.
He's an assassin. Only assassins know how to break a neck with one fell swoop with their hand. Like fell swoop. Like he literally he grabs his head. I'm gonna live on camera. I'm gonna break my neck for the audience.
Okay.
I just broke my neck. That's all this guy did. So what I liked about this is there's a female cop that he killed too. It's like, oh, okay, equal rights. He made no bones about it. This guy, Miguel, kills male, and he kills these two cops driving to his car that's flipped over. So he shoots them dead on, a moving vehicle. Cop dead, right through the window. So Doug, again, what kind of marksman do you have to be? Moving vehicle coming towards you. You're upside down in a crashed car, and you're able to shoot both the passenger and the cop in one shot each.
Well, he was on the ground in a prone position. So
Okay.
as long as if he could see over the hood, which is, I guess it depends on how far away they are, but I would still say it's unlikely.
But he's
Impossible?
an assassin.
Probably not impossible. But it was very quick. Very quick. He killed the first one, killed the second one. Like it was, you can train your sights on one, knock them down, but then you'd have to retrain your sights. Not like bam, bam. But, that's not the most unbelievable thing about this part. So I'll forgive that one.
What's the most unbelievable part?
The neck snap, the handcuffs,
Okay.
the kicking the window out.
True. All true. All right. Anything you want to talk more about the taxicab break? Oh, sorry. The taxicab pickup scene. Can someone please explain how Robert Rath was able to correlate taking a cab and somehow assuming that Miguel would take a plane to another country or out of the city, and that Miguel would call the cab company that Robert Rath stole a cab from, and then become the fare that Robert. Okay,
and Miguel even tries to, explain what a great idea it is, and it almost highlights how absurd it is even more.
Did anyone else catch the absurdity of the taxicab pickup?
I hated this part. This annoyed me so much. just the 1 in a million shot that you have to be with the right, like you said, the right cab company that Miguel calls. Just no names of customers. It's just some guy looking to go to the airport. Oh, that must be him.
Yes. Nobody ever calls a cab for an airport ride.
Right.
Like this is so unique.
But the fact that Miguel thinks it's a good play makes me, doubt either one of them being competent at anything.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, right. So lo and behold, he picks up Miguel. Miguel doesn't physically recognize Robert Rath in the front seat, even though they saw each other from a distance, or they were like, the cop car was beside Robert Rath's car when he was arrested. They looked at each other briefly, but Robert Rath's head is to the back of Miguel's head. Fair enough.
And he's not expecting him to be the cab driver. Well, even though as a trained assassin, I'd like to think that I'd be constantly hyper aware of my surroundings.
Well, and that's the amazing that's the amazing thing here is that Miguel actually, rightfully so, wouldn't expect to be picked up by the very assassin that he was in competition with and has admired for years. Why would he? So that, at least that makes sense, that he would be completely, And I always love it when you have in this movie, another movie trope, Craig, is when you have a scene where somebody's supposed to drive somebody somewhere and they don't do the proper turn to the airport or whatever. Hey!
Oh yeah.
You missed our turn, man. Where you going? And Rob Rath's like, get out of the car. Get out of my car. I'm done. I don't want to drive you no more. And Miguel's
Very
like,
smart.
So what was his end game? Because like he was going to wait for him to start walking away and then shoot him?
Yeah, because he couldn't shoot through the glass because it's bulletproof.
Oh my God.
Okay, so what I love about this sequence, is that this glass in a cab is assassin bulletproof, but the cop car side window he could kick through.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Why did he go? Like, isn't the cop car window bulletproof, Doug?
No.
It's not. Okay, but still, he didn't even attempt to kick the taxi cab window. However, when
it was a brand new taxi though, so it could have had the most state of the art plexiglass.
Okay, fair enough. And when they did have their little confrontation with each other, when they realized who the other person was, of course, and they're pointing guns at each other, and they mentioned, "Oh, bulletproof glass, aren't you clever?" There was a scene where Antonio Banderas, it's not even that bad of a scene actually, but he shoots the window, and I actually kind of like this one good scene so far where he said, "Well, I had to try." That wasn't bad. No?
All right. I guess if you want to look for a silver lining, sure.
Is this a worse movie than The Specialist?
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, the other thing I guess we can talk about it at this point is the runtime of this movie. When I sat down to watch this, I was like, oh, it's going to be, 95 minutes, an hour 40 tops. And then I saw that it was over 2 hours long. And I said, oh, what am I about to sit down for? Because I didn't remember this being a 2 hour plus movie.
Yeah, they weren't 2 hours back in the day, weren't back then.
No, this is a very ambitious film for 1995. It's a 2 hour, 15-minute movie. That's crazy. And I saw that runtime too, Craig, and I'm like, oh.
But the other thing is it wastes, and a lot of movies do this. This isn't exclusive to Assassins, but a lot of movies load up the first third of the movie, and then they realize, oh shit, we wasted so much time in the first third that we got to rush to the end. Right. Where, how long into the movie is it before we get the whole Dutchman and Julianne Moore plot?
We haven't got to Julianne Moore.
I mean, it's like, and I mean, that's really the plot of the movie. So it takes them forever to get there to build, I guess, this, there's just so much wasted shit in the first 40 minutes of this movie.
I have a problem with that because, like you said, they load the first, we'll call it the first act. Mm-hmm. But the first act is supposed to be like your world building, where you're setting up characters, you're setting up the plot, but it doesn't do that. It doesn't do any of that. We don't know what the hell's going on so far.
I'm legit confused about this movie and what's happening. But we do know the next contract. So the billionaire is now dead. So Robert Rath talks to his employer, whoever this anonymous employer, who keeps saying that's no way to talk to a lady. Anyways, I guess to fool Robert Rath that he's actually being hired by a female and not a male, because big plot twist at the end, right? Anyways, so we get the next contract hit. It's going to be, of course, Julianne Moore's character, Electra, and her internet logo.
Oh my God.
She's anonymous. I love how she too is an anonymous trade dealer, insider trade, or she's an early computer hacker who offers trade secrets to the Dutch. What is she doing? What is it she's doing? She's gathering information. And what information is she gathering? What is this information providing? Did we ever get that?
It's a list of names or something.
What? What names?
I love how they called it an internet logo, which is in today's terms is called an avatar.
Avatar, yes.
But back in 1995, the term avatar didn't exist. So it's kind of cute and adorable what they would have called an avatar in 95. They called it an internet logo, which happened to be two green cat's eyes because she's a cat lady. She's a bonkers cat lady.
She's actually the most deplorable person in this film, in my opinion.
She's horrible.
That is the core problem of this movie is you've got Robert Rath, who isn't really defined enough to like or dislike, but you should dislike him out of the gate because he's an assassin. Antonio Banderas, just because of the amount of senseless killing he does. And then Electra, because she's spying on her neighbors. She's hacking. I mean, there's nobody to like in this movie.
Yeah, she's not a likable character. And the only reason, we'll cut it right down to the chase here, the only reason why Robert Rath doesn't kill her is because she's hot.
But even then, I think she's, as far as a female lead, what an awful miscasting. I mean, Julianne Moore, she's a pretty lady.
wait, before you get there, Doug, what I meant to say when I say that she's hot, I'm saying within this film, Robert Rath finds her attractive. That's why he if they hired or if the character was a 300-pound woman from Walmart.
Oh yeah,
she would have been dead in the living room.
But no,
that's the other problem. That's the other problem with the Hitman movies is in Robert Rath's 15+ year career, he had to have run into attractive women that he was tasked with killing.
Maybe not. Maybe this is the first cute one.
No 350-pound woman would have the email address meow@comcast.cat.
Yeah. I wrote that down too. Good catch. Oh my goodness. Okay, so basically she is an inside trader, or she's giving information about the country to the Dutch, who are German. I'm not sure what they are. Did she refer to them as Hans Gruber from Die Hard? Like she kept calling them some sort of nickname.
That's funny.
I didn't know if that was
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, she kept calling him Hans, but not Hans Gruber. But you almost got the feeling she was calling them not by their real name, but by a Die Hard name. I don't know. Maybe I was reading too much into it.
But they turned out to be Interpol agents, right?
Okay. Before we get there, yes, I do have a question about that. And Doug, I did interrupt your earlier point about Julianne's castings. Go ahead. I didn't mean to do that.
No, I was just going to say she's an attractive lady, but I don't buy her in this kind of role at all.
Who else could they have cast? Sandra Bullock might have been a better cast, ironically, back then.
At that time, yeah.
Kind of that goofy...
Sharon Stone was a good fit in The Specialist.
Yeah, she was actually. This film, okay, the chemistry between Robert Rath and Elektra versus Stallone's character in The Specialist and Sharon Stone, it's night and day. I can't believe, like, their chemistry in The Specialist now in comparison to Assassins, it's like Rocky and Adrian.
Yeah.
There is no chemistry between Julianne Moore's character and Stallone's character. And I don't know if that was on screen was the issue, or how the characters were written, or both, but the chemistry is horrible. And there's that scene that we have later in the film. I guess we're at the point now in our show, as we always do. We're just jumping all over the place. But there's a scene in the film where they're at the motel, and there's supposed to be sexual tension because there's only one bed, and we both can't sleep in the same bed. And Stallone's character goes to the bathroom, and he's kind of like pacing back and forth in the bathroom. Like, he's like, man, I'm horny, but you can tell that he's got that feeling like, oh, this girl's pretty in this one room, but I'm going to be a gentleman. And so he goes back and sleeps on the, on the floor. But he's got the little smirk on his face that, oh, that girl in that bed sure is cute, and I've got feelings for her.
There's no indication that there's any romantic interaction between them at all.
Until that scene, we get the feeling.
But there's no payoff to that.
Well, there is a little bit, because remember later in the movie when they're in whatever European city for the final sequence, and
European.
No, it's like
what was
South America.
Whatever.
You don't. The flamingo music didn't give it away.
I get so lost in Stallone between 95 and 2002. All of his films took place outside of some. They always end up in some sort of like South American, Italy, weird country. Anyways,
well, he probably wanted to enjoy the scenery while he was filming.
Probably $15 million, and he gets to travel to South America. Sure, why not? So remember the scene, anyways, in the hotel where he's talking to Julianne Moore, to Elektra, because he thinks she's on the balcony for the Day of the Dead ceremonies, and she's not there. But he has that whole conversation like, I never really felt no ways about nobodies until I met you, and now I don't want to be assassin anymore. See, because I met you. But then he's like,
shockingly, I totally forgot about that scene.
So there was indication, but he's like, Elektra, where are you, Elektra? Right. All right, I know this is a hard movie to get through, but there's a few scenes we got to really, really talk about. One is I was legit confused, and maybe you can help me or not help me, but by the chess and the chess playing on the computer, what did Miguel mean by the rook takes the pawn, or how was that connected? What did that mean? What's the background on that?
And they were playing it was time stamped or dated 1980, so where they were recreating a game that was played 15 years earlier. So did it somehow tie into Nikolai?
It wasn't supposed to be him and Nikolai playing, and that was like that was their game. It was one game that they've been playing for 15 years. Like you make one move every 6 months. I don't know.
Man, if you guys do that with me, I'm like allowing you to win in 5 moves because that's boring.
Yeah. I legitimately thought I had missed something when he started playing the chess game.
Well, I'll tell you what I missed. I missed 2 hours and 15 minutes of my life that I'm never going to get back.
That was another thing. It was like a shoehorned in thing, like a trope that had no setup and no payoff.
Yeah, I don't know. I it's a question I wrote down to ask you guys because you guys are pretty good about catching plot points that I miss, and you both have failed me on this.
Look, Ryan, if you're looking for us to catch like minute plot points, this isn't the movie to do it.
So, did you notice the Richard Donner? Apparently, he has his he's anti-fur, he's anti-NRA, and he's
anti-smoking.
He's anti-abortion. He's pro-choice. Okay. So did you catch all that? Yeah. So Richard Donner there was an anti-NRA on the bus. Julianne Moore's character sprays spray paint on the fur-wearing woman in the elevator. Mm-hmm. That was a Richard Donner edition. And then lastly, there was a waitress at the bar at the bistro at the end of the film where she was wearing a pro-choice. Actually, it was pro-life.
Yeah,
it's a pro-life shirt. So he's anti-gun, anti-fur, and anti-abortion is Richard Donner. He's allowed to be, but he put that in his film throughout the film.
Yeah, well, this leads me to ask a question: was Electra's cat like an emotional support cat?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, that's a kind way of saying that she's crazy.
Crazy cat lady.
She needs to. Yeah, she's a crazy cat lady. She's in 5 more years she'll have 5 more cats.
But she's also like the most careless pet owner. I mean, it's not that hard to hold on to the big, huge carrying case that your cat's in.
It's supposed to play for laughs a little bit. Like, oh, she's silly. She's trying to grab her cat in the midst of a gunfight. Yeah. Did you guys laugh at any point during this film where you thought something was clever or funny?
Not intentionally. I might have laughed at the stupidity of something.
Yeah, some of the ironic funny parts that were funny. And another really head scratching part is: are we still in the hotel right now?
Sure.
Wrath goes like into the boiler room on some maintenance computer and does what?
Yeah, okay. I actually understood this a little bit. I think I understood this a little bit. I got this. I got one.
All right.
So he's gone to the maintenance computer because he called to say there was electrical out to get the guy. I guess he figured that the maintenance crew has access to the hotel's computer system. And so what he did was he got that fake electrical outage. So the maintenance guy had to stop his banana lunch break and go, and you saw that, right? And then Robert Rath eats the guy's banana when he's at the desk. So he's at the computer, and what he's looking for people who have rented out more than one room. Because he figures if you rent out more than one room during this transaction of secret files on a computer, you got the guys who are in one room, like as a troop, with all their separate rooms, and then you got, as Julianne Moore's character did have, she had a room where she was operating and another room where she was receiving the funds via her little remote control car in the air ducts. So Robert Rath knew that in order for Elektra to carry out this secret deal, she would need to have more than one room. And lo and behold, he figured it out. And I guess he figured out through the cat, something about cats.
Because the tuna fish.
Tuna fish, that's right. Because
nobody would order tuna fish at a hotel unless they were feeding it to their cat, even though it had mayo and I mean,
no.
Well, Doug, that's the answer. That's why he was on the computer.
Okay, that's the answer. Yeah. Well, what I do, you know how they have like the internet movie firearms database to look up guns and a car database to look up cars. I want a database where you can look up the tech from these old movies because I love all this, like that computer with like the black screen and the green, like type. I love the tech in all these movies.
You know what the sad thing is, Doug? Is that hotel probably still is running that same shitty 1995 software because they haven't had a reason to replace it yet.
And if it works,
it still works.
Fix it. Yeah.
That's hilarious. We go back. We mentioned this before, but we didn't really talk about it. Julianne Moore's character, she's living in some sort of Electra. She's living in an apartment complex, and she has put cameras in everyone's hotel, and she's watching, everyone's apartment room. So she's watching her apartment complex the way you would like creeps in everyone's personal life, like a soap opera. Yeah, watching people fight, watching people make love, watch people eat their supper, watch people shower. Can we talk about this for a second? Is this highly inappropriate, or is this just me?
It instantly makes her an unsympathetic character because she's breaking the first rule of being a neighbor, right?
Well, yeah, you're right, Craig. It doesn't make me like her, but it's played the way they try to play it in the film is that because she's like, there's a boyfriend and the girlfriend, they're fighting, and she's watching this fight. She's invested in their relationship the way you would be when you watch a reality show like Survivor, Big Brother, or The Bachelor. She's watching this relationship on her TV, and she's like rooting for them to work things out. And we're supposed to look at her as a sympathetic character, like, oh, she cares about these people that she's spying on. It's insanity to me. Her what she does for a living, what she does where she lives, how she acts with people. There's nothing about her that's funny, adorable, or likable.
Yeah, and you would almost think that like if she was antisocial, she was doing this or watching her neighbors to make some kind of connection. But they also established that she's got a pretty good relationship with her neighbors. She knows them. They talk to each other. So it's not even like she's this sheltered person who is just trying to make a human connection. She's already made that in person or that physical connection with her neighbors. So that makes the spying even more terrible.
So let's talk about the boyfriend and girlfriend. We're going to skip a little bit. Those who've seen the movie know exactly what we're talking about. When Miguel comes to the apartment to kill as well, he's been given the task to kill Electra as well. Go figure. So the same person that hired Robert Rath and Miguel to kill the billionaire has hired both of them again, unbeknownst to the other person, to kill Electra. And
it's like a trifecta, though. It's like, you have to get the disc, you have to kill the Dutchman, and then you have to kill the Electra. So it's like a 3-tiered. It's like, I'm telling you, if you watch this movie as like a pro wrestling match, a lot of the bullshit makes sense.
And then, it doesn't. So Miguel gets to the apartment, though. This is what's so dumb about this movie. Another instance where this is dumb. Miguel gets to the apartment to kill Electra, that he knows she's female.
Mm-hmm.
He mistakes the girlfriend as Electra because he keeps saying, "Where's the disc? Give me the disc." And she's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I just happen to live in the same apartment that your Mark lives in." So Miguel kills an innocent woman, which I know it's no problem for him. But again, this idea, like, if she just said, "Oh, the disc is in my apartment," and then he kills her anyways, he thinks he's killed Electra. He doesn't even have a physical, like, what kind of assassin doesn't have the identification of what your target looks like?
And he had already killed the boyfriend as well. So
can I want to jump in before he even gets inside the apartment.
Oh, please do.
I hate when movies do this where he's walking, he's touching all the hoods of the cars, and he's narrating what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah.
I hate when people in movies do that, and he does it throughout the entire movie.
They're not giving the viewer the benefit of the doubt that they're intelligent enough or observant enough to figure it out.
Yeah,
They're
that happened
us because we're dummies.
Yeah, Robert Rath's character did that. Stallone's character, Robert Rath, did that in this film as well. He narrated what he was looking for. He said, "I'm going to retire after." He had these conversations with himself. I never talked to myself like that in private.
Nobody
And
does.
and he's talking to himself for us to hear his inner thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Miguel's character does the same thing. Miguel touching the hood of the car. I wrote the exact same thing down, Doug. You took the words right out of my mouth. This car is cold.
Yeah.
This porch is too cold. This porch is too hot. This porch is just right.
Why does it even matter?
I think he thinks that they've arrived there sooner than later. So he that's why he saw that it was apartment 202, because the car that got there had just arrived. So he knew that, again, it's the taxicab syndrome. This weird ability to narrow down a million scenarios that the person I'm hired to kill lives in apartment 202 because this car's hood is hot. That's essentially what happened.
Because no other car just pulled up to their apartment.
No. But that's exactly what happened. It was somebody else's car. It wasn't that person. He did
but he touches two. He says cold, cold, and he finds one that's warm. He goes hot. So that's where you live. Like, oh God.
Okay, so we've talked about that. I love how in this scene where Miguel sees Lectra's apartment and all the cameras set up, and she actually refers to her as a sick little bitch. So even Miguel has some sort of morals. Even Miguel, I think, like, this is the most relatable Miguel's been the whole film. We're all on board with Miguel here. We're like, yeah, this is a little bit sick.
We're in agreement, Miguel.
Okay, so we talked about the motel stay. Let's talk about now where Robert Rath has the file that he's going to hand over to whoever he's going to hand it over to. And they do this computer swap in public.
Oh, this is the whole monorail sequence, right?
That's right. So it's before the the monorail sequence. That's right. So before the monorail sequence, he's on the monorail and he jumps out in the middle of the transit. Why couldn't he just get off at the next stop and walk 5 blocks?
Because that old man was
that's not cool.
Like the old man on the monorail was like an agent of some kind, right?
Is that what he was?
I don't know. It's never detailed.
The way the old man reacts makes you think that he's
not. No, I'll tell you exactly who he was. He wasn't. Okay, that's not how I saw it. Doug's exactly right. This is a part where they could have spelled it out for us because it was complete. They spelled out things where they should have, and they don't spell things where they should have. So I'm confused as a viewer what's going on, but I know their inner thoughts about retiring and what cars are hot or cold, but they don't tell me why this old man, because I wrote this down, old man with a cell phone. I think he's just saying to the cops, he's just calling the cops, this is a guy that just jumped out of the train. See something, say something? Exactly.
And maybe it was Robert Rath being an aware assassin and thinking that this guy... Okay.
It's like overly hyper aware kind of thing.
That makes sense.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So
before you go on, I have one final note about the apartment. The one scene that I really like in this movie is that explosion scene. where Miguel turns the table over and uses that as a shield and he gets blown out the window. Actually, I legitimately like that part.
Okay. Can we talk about the directing of this movie? Because you just reminded me of how atrocious some of this movie is shot. And with that 1990s like slow motion that they love to do.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. It was really cool to see the concept of the scene was cool, but I think the execution was poor. The blocking was weird. The amount of time it took for things to happen was weird.
The classic slow motion jump out of the way of the bullets, Robert Rath jump.
But then also, like, it seemed like Robert and Electra ended up together when they were previously pretty far apart prior to that explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah, the explosion in the apartment with the gas, classic lighting the gas on fire. Richard Donner loved doing that. He did it through his Lethal Weapon film, so why not in Assassins?
Sure.
Okay, well, we're getting near the end of the film here because now we see whoever's been hiring Miguel and Robert Rath together has now hired Miguel to kill Robert Rath. And there's the best scene in the whole movie. It's my favorite, one of my favorite gifs is Antonio gets Miguel gets the indication he is to kill his mentor, or not his mentor, but his hero, his assassin hero. And he does that. He goes like,
How sweet it is.
how sweet. Like, he's so excited that he gets to officially.
Is this when he's in the bathtub?
No, he's sitting
No.
down. No, this isn't the bathtub, but he does that same type of behavior in the bathtub as well. Yeah. And he's like, and he's typing like this.
No, with one hand typing, with perfect grammar, caps locks and everything at the beginning of the sentences, punctuation with one hand.
This is where we also get the reveal that the disc or the computer that Robert was supposed to exchange for some money ended up not having the right information. Like Elektra had done a swap out, so all these guys did was confirm that there was information on the disc. They didn't validate it any other way. It was like, well, it's not an empty disc. It's got information on it, so that's got to be it.
Yeah, how do you do that? He opened his computer to show that it had something on it, right?
Yeah.
But he himself didn't even know that it was fake because that money briefcase blew up. And he thought he turned over the disc. So he had no money and he had no leverage because he thought he turned over the disc. But then she reveals, haha, I swapped the disc. So what they got was nothing.
Universe crossover.
Yeah.
The Ray Quick for the specialist made that briefcase bomb.
Well, no, I don't think Ray Quick would have made it detectable by radio frequency.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was James Woods' character. Oh man, so we're getting near the end here. Let's talk about the whole bank sequence. The end sequence where Robert Rath is getting the funds that whatever the funds were given, $20 million was given to him to do this exchange, and the bank was taking forever. And there's a whole sequence where he
basically does the transfer and then closes the account immediately, which I'm sure from a bank perspective, there's a lot of things that need to happen in order to do a $20 million transfer, but then also close out an account and pay somebody.
Sure, and that might be legit, the timeline on how long it takes. And they do this on purpose because they want to literally sweat out or make Miguel sweat and wait. And this whole idea of romanticizing that Miguel is going to stay in the window and shoot Robert Rath from the same window that Robert Rath used earlier in the film in a flashback sequence where he shot his mentor and friend, Nikolai. Why did Robert Rath automatically just assume that Miguel would fall for this, that this would be something that he needs to do?
Well, especially if Miguel was such a student of Robert Rath's history, he would have known that. Wouldn't he have known all of the details surrounding how long it took, how long he waited, the fact that he went down to the bank to check? Like, if he was such a student of the history of Robert Rath, he wouldn't fall for some of this shit.
He was also pretty sure that he wouldn't shoot him until he saw his eyes. Yeah, so he would have to see. He put a lot of faith in that theory.
Why did he just wear like a low brim hat or sunglasses when he walks out of the bank? Like,
well, that's the thing. I mean, there's so many. There's got to be other egress points out of the bank too, right?
Yeah, that's another thing I was thinking. There's only one way in and out.
So the plan was, of course, that when Miguel got tired of waiting, he was going to come out to see what is taking so long in the bank, go to the bank, confront Robert Rath, in public, which they can't be a shootout in public because there's bank guards there, of course, which I don't understand. This guy just like karate chopped his way out of a police car, but he can't take care of a bank security guard. Like, he could have literally just walked into the bank with his gun, shot Robert Rath, shot the security guard, and walked out. Like, that's all he had to do. But of course, that doesn't mean, this is the same guy that took out 6 cops at the beginning of the film, can't take out 1 security guard inside of a bank. But anyway, so the idea is that when Miguel comes to the bank, Elektra was going to go back to the loft and grab the assassination rifle. So when Miguel goes back to assassinate Robert Rath walking out of the bank, lo and behold, he has no more gun. But Elektra, of course, screws that up. She gets caught herself. Miguel comes back, and then they have their end sequence shootout, discussion, cat and mouse chase inside of this burnt out chapel hotel or whatever this thing is.
Well,
Am I getting
the
that
hotel
right?
the hotel had been out of operation for a couple of years, so it had shut down, and nobody wanted to buy it and renovate it, so it had sort of just. So,
Well, I
are
can
we
see
to
why,
believe that
because that hotel, every floor was made out of styrofoam.
Yeah.
Everyone
Well,
kept
I mean,
falling
did
through everything.
did it close immediately after Stallone shot Nikolai? And then how long does it take for a building to reduce structurally?
More than 15 years, I think.
And that's assuming that they closed like the day after he shot him.
No.
Right?
The building was functional after. It was only shut down for 8 years because of the fire.
Oh, there was a fire.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't pick that up.
Me and Doug both must have tuned out at the same exact time when that
Yeah.
when that guy was explaining why the hotel wasn't operational anymore.
It was because of a fire. It was 8 years of fire 8 years ago. And this is South America. They take their time in renovating stuff around there, I guess.
And when Rath is walking her through the hotel, showing it to her, I couldn't focus on anything but how much he was sweating.
Yes, there's a lot of sweating. Is this real sweat? Are they sweating for real in this on location shoot?
I wondered that myself because when in the cemetery, when she's walking around the cemetery, she's sweating. Obviously, Miguel's sweating the whole time he's in the loft waiting.
Have you guys ever been to South America?
No.
It's hot.
Okay.
That sweat could be very legit. Like I just did a tour on a deployment, but old like Singapore, Hong Kong, and everything with the Navy. And I'm telling, and I went to Guam as well. And I'm telling you, these countries, when you step off, you're sweating. So it's legit. If they're running around working, the sweat could have just as easily been legit. I can't imagine they would have had to overdo it with a lot of the scenes. It's probably very hot. And speaking of which, can we talk about Antonio Banderas' acting, losing his mind, waiting in the tower? What
Kissing
kind of
in a bottle?
Yeah, he got so mad because he had to pee in a bottle. This guy, can I just say for the record, is an assassin.
Should be patient.
His job is to be patient, to wait, to seek out his mark. And I'm not even an assassin, and I know what it's like to be an assassin. Like this guy, who's apparently studied from the best, it seems to be a pretty good assassin. He's being hired by some top-notch people, but he's panicking having to wait 5 hours in one room. Any thoughts on that?
No thoughts.
Case closed. Ryan, great closing arguments there.
You nailed it.
Well, let's talk about the very end sequence. So Nikolai comes out of the shadows. So Robert Rath and Miguel have a big shootout, and they're about to kill each other or whatever. Miguel's out for the count. He's not dead. And the big reveal happens where someone says from the shadows, that's no way to talk to a lady, but it's a male's voice. The man comes out. It's Nikolai, the man that Robert Rath was hired to kill, and he betrayed at the beginning of the film. When flashbacks, they would find out they were partners or friends or both. But I don't know what.
It's such bullshit. It almost if this film had gained any goodwill leading up to it, it would have lost it. It had no goodwill to give up, so it just made the face palm twice as hard because it's utter bullshit. It's complete nonsense, and it takes away any kind of character work that they had done trying to build up Robert Rath by saying, oh, this guy he thought he killed 15 years ago, he's not really dead, but you know what? He's going to be dead in 4 seconds anyway, so none of it matters.
And I did love how Robert Rath goes, 15 years, man. 15 years you made me think I killed you. But you were alive the whole time? I've had to carry this guilt for 15 years. I love how Nikolai then said, dude, you thought you killed me. I'm sorry that I made it. You tried to kill me. I've lived for the past 15 years. In fact, I'll say right now, the best character in the whole film is Nikolai. He's the only one that made sense. He got betrayed by Robert Rath at the beginning of the film, got shot by his buddy, and he was wearing a bulletproof vest, so that's how he survived the assassination attempt. Went into hiding, planned out this grand revenge scheme, messed with Robert Rath's life for a little bit, and had a big, he basically catfished Robert Rath. And
exactly what he did, yeah.
The joke was on Nikolai until now. I'll ask this question to you guys. There was a small, because I hadn't seen this movie in 23 years, so I actually forgot the twist. I actually forgot a lot of stuff. Like I put this out of my memory for a lot of reasons, I guess. And I forgot the whole movie essentially. But one thing I did forget, and I actually was genuinely disappointed because there's a part of me, because this is a Richard Donner film. This is 1995. There was a small part of me that thought and or considered, had this movie done well, they could have done Assassins Part 2 with Miguel and Robert Rath literally as assassin partners, kind of a love-hate relationship, like almost like an assassin comedy duo. And when Miguel,
like a Tango and Cash.
yeah, because there was a point in the film, you know where I'm going with this. There's a point in the film where they shook hands and made up, where they were going to let each other be. And I actually thought to myself, that would actually be a good way to end. That they actually both leave.
There's like a mutual respect there.
Yes. And who's with me right now by saying that actually would have saved the film some sort of decorum of like, okay, at least that ending was a little bit original, that the two guys that were like this, the whole film, they worked together at the end, killed the Nikolai guy who's been effing them over this whole film, and they shake hands and say, you know what? You're number one. I don't want it anymore. And they stuck with that. And Miguel goes, I'm number one. I get to be number one. And then that's it.
Yeah, but then they had to go through the pro wrestling handbook and do the cliche double heel turn. You know, Miguel turns face, but then he says, I'm going to turn heel again.
Yes, exactly. Nonsense. It was like we didn't even make it to Saturday night's main event before he went face, went heel, went, you know, like
the turn was too quick.
I was legitimately disappointed. I was like, no, that's so cliche. And then he shoots him behind his jacket, and then
because he sees the reflection in her sunglasses.
And then they go to walk off together to spend $20 million. They're like, oh, before we go, don't forget the money. She grabs the briefcase, and then the movie ends.
Can I say one more thing that annoyed me to no end in this?
Yeah, please. If we've missed anything, let's go ahead and say those things.
The whole her smelling like jasmine thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because he smelled her perfume in her apartment, and then he smells jasmine in the cemetery, which makes him think that she's there because she's the only person in the world that wears jasmine scented perfume. And then he finds a jasmine plant, and he's like, "Oh, there's jasmine everywhere." Of course, he's narrating as he's doing it because we're idiots. And then at the end, he's about to shoot Robert Rath, and he sniffs and he turns his head and he goes, "Jasmine," which stalled him enough for her to intervene in before he was able to kill Robert Rath. But the fact that he has to keep saying jasmine to let us know that he understands.
Does anyone know what jasmine smells like? I gotta go smell some. No. So we're losing Craig. He's done with this film. He is done. Holy smokes. Well, okay.
You have to wonder how much of the budget went to paying for the rights to use Rolling Stones music at the beginning and the end.
Well, I thought the song at the end was a cover. It was a Stones song, but it was a cover, wasn't it?
It was Like a Rolling Stone by Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Done by the Stones. But I mean,
okay, that's right.
The Stones were, there was never a point where the Stones weren't the effing Rolling Stones. I mean, it can't be cheap to use Rolling Stones music in a movie.
No, I don't think. I think it's like $10,000 to $50,000 for a song. It's not cheap. Let's talk about some side note trivia stuff here, and we'll call it a day. Mel Gibson was initially wanting to direct this film, if you can believe it.
I kind of wish he had.
I agree. Also, Richard Donner felt that Stallone and Antonio Banderas, it would have been a better film had the actors switched roles.
That doesn't even make sense.
No, I agree. I knew that trivia before I saw the film for the second time, and I try to picture like Stallone being the really, really kind of the bad guy, the irritating mentor, the student. It doesn't make sense. No. See what else here. I think that's about it for anything that's kind of interesting. Oh, the same cat that's in this movie is the same cat from The Specialist.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That's actually interesting. There we go.
That's the universe crossover. That's the universe crossover. I told you.
And what do you call the the cat Timer. The cat was Timer, right?
Yeah, in this movie, the cat was called
Pearl.
That's right. Good job.
Why didn't she bring the cat to South America?
I don't know.
Was it quarantine laws, or I mean, did they legally enter the country? I mean, she brought the cat to like down the street for the transaction with the Dutchman. You'd think, like, even the cat plot point doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, okay, we're done with the plot. Kevin Bacon, Tom Cruise, Johnny Depp, Woody Harrelson, and Wesley Snipes were all considered for the role of Miguel at some point. But that goes for a lot of movies.
Can you run through that list again?
Kevin Bacon, Tom Cruise, which, interestingly enough, Tom Cruise did play a hitman later. What was that movie by Michael Mann?
Collateral Damage?
That's right. No. Collateral.
Yep.
Oh, Collateral.
So Tom Cruise did play a hitman. So it's interesting that Tom Cruise was considered for this role. So he may have had that bug in his ear to play that type of character, but did it in a much better film called Collateral. Let's just say Collateral is a great film, directed by Michael Mann and
Jamie Foxx is in it.
Jamie Foxx, yeah.
So and you have Woody Harrelson?
Woody Harrelson, which I could have seen.
I could see that.
I think that would have actually been really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a role that Woody would have run with.
And check this out. And Wesley Snipes.
It would have been Demolition Man Redux.
Yeah, and that's probably why they didn't do it. And Johnny Depp, which again, Johnny Depp's he's irritating, but he's a good actor, and he would have played a kind of a good kooky, crazy guy. But they went with Antonio, or that's the one who took it.
His star was near its peak at that time, right? So
I think he was kind of a rising star. He wasn't quite. He was getting there because he did have some of those Robert Rodriguez films under his belt. He was. I knew who he was when he was in this film back in '95, so I did know who he was. Lastly,
he was also. When did Philadelphia come out with Tom Hanks?
I think 91, 92, 91 or 2.
Boyfriend in Philadelphia.
That's right. Sorry, I stepped on you there. Sorry. So you said, yeah, he was Tom Hanks' boyfriend in that film. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lastly, we know there was a bit of a reunion with Antonio Banderas and Stallone and the Mel Gibson connection in a weird way for Expendables Part 3.
Yeah. Antonio is one of him and Wesley are the two reasons to watch Expendables 3, right?
Oh, I love that film, but we'll talk about it maybe some other day. But what I will say, interestingly enough, side note, we will one day. Side note, Antonio Banderas and Stallone became good friends after this film. So there you go.
I could see, Stallone being a really good friend or mentor to somebody like Antonio Banderas, who's sort of on his way up in Hollywood. I'd imagine the conversations and the advice that a Stallone could give to a young actor that's sort of in the same lane as Sly, that has to be, I'm sure there were some priceless, jewels of wisdom that Stallone, imparted on Antonio.
Oh, probably. Well, any final thoughts, guys? Why don't you just say who you are from what shows you hail from, and we'll close this behemoth.
All right, I'll go.
Sure.
I'm Doug from Rocky Minute. It's a podcast where we cover the movie Rocky, and we're currently in Rocky 2, 1 minute at a time. So, come find us on a podcatcher of your choice and catch up. We have 118 episodes in season 1, and we're into we just wrapped up week 2 of season 2. So we're having a lot of fun over there.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. And I'm Ryan from the Going the Distance, the Rocky series podcast. We're currently in season 4, where we're covering Rocky 4. We also, throughout our show, have interviews and side episodes like this one that you're listening to now via our channel. And I can't say enough good things about Doug and Rocky Minute. Check them out. And, of course, Craig, the godfather of the Sly podcasting community, Craig and Slycast. So go ahead, Craig. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you, but I just wanted to say I love you guys. So go ahead.
That's awesome. We love you too. Yeah, Slycast, we're slowly working our way through Stallone's filmography, film by film. We're next going to cover Judge Dredd. Hopefully it's within the next 2 months. It's kind of hard to get that whole gang together. Everybody's so popular in their side ventures. Mike Kunda has just blown up the way I knew he was gonna, because that guy is so passionate and so talented and just so dedicated to what he's doing with his film tour, and the Pretender documentary now that's cleaning up at film festivals. So
yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Jeff Ferry's got his own sort of Kevin Smith minute going on, so they're doing Mallrats currently.
He's not that busy.
And then my Jeff Hewlett, has the whole tricorder transmission network going on. So everybody's keeping busy, but we're going to be doing Judge Dredd next, and looking forward to it. Slycast has been a lot of fun. And Ryan, I do want to say at the beginning of the episode, I said I hated you, but you know what? Working our way through this film wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So hate's too strong of a word.
Thanks, man.
At least we had fun with it.
Oh, of course. But the problem with this film, I think and just to tie it up here, is it's not as bad as The Specialist. So it's that fine line between it's trying to be a decent film, but it fails at being a decent film. But it's not silly like The Specialist was, or over the top like James Woods' character was. And the characters were annoying. I didn't know what was going on. So it actually ended up just being a bad film. But it's not so bad that it's bad. It's just a bad film.
I would watch The Specialist again probably this year if I had the chance, and that's not the case with Assassins.
No, unless I review this movie again in the next 23 years, I don't think I'm going to watch it again in the next 23 years. So, well, with that, guys, again, if those are listening to us those who are listening to this right now in their earbuds on their respective Rocky podcasts, the Rocky Minute podcast, the Going the Distance podcast, or Slycast. So I just want to say, if you're stand by, come find us on Twitter. Find us on Facebook, because we will be putting out again to the public our votes, our choices for you guys to vote on. And then if you want to join the discussion, we didn't get very many joining today, which is fine. It's Saturday morning, which is fine. If you want to join us in the next one, just join our social medias is what I'm saying, so you can know when that is and you can join the discussion. So we want to thank those who listen live and also who are listening now in your earbuds at home.
And then also, this is also going to be on the YouTube channel archive. So if you do want to go back and look at our mugs,
it's there forever.
Go for it.
Yeah, we've got on the channel on the pod. It's called the Sylvester Stallone Podcast Network. Find us on YouTube, and right now we have this one, Specialist, and Copland. So we got 3 in the can, boys. All right.
Hey, Craig, we struggled a little bit the other night when we were recording for Rocky Minute about what this channel was called.
Yeah.
The Sylvester Stallone Podcast Network. Find it on YouTube. Like and subscribe, so you'll see when live notifications will come on your phone when we go live too. All right, guys. Take care.
Bye.